What up guys, and welcome back to another Fusion TV cast. My name is Mox and joining me once again is the one and only Fusion Heli. How are you, man?
I'm good, and I'm especially good because you always call me the one and only, so thanks for that.
Just trying to make you feel special. And we do have a very special game today. It's between our Purple Zerg player, the world famous, especially in the Southeast Asian scene, the one and only mOOnGLaDe. A very strong Zerg player, possibly the best player on Southeast Asia at the moment. And his opponent, the Red Terran player xGKingiaguz from ZvT Gaming. We've cast a replay of him against 4GG already, and he impressed us there, so it's going to be interesting to see how he goes against mOOnGLaDe. Now this is a replay taken from the ACL Gold Coast land. We're hoping to cast a lot more replays from that. But if you guys do have any other replays, please feel free to send them in. Links in the description. So what do we expect on Tal'Darim Altar here, Heli?
Well, it's a pretty big map, but we do have those close spawns, so I might expect sort of a 2-base tank pressure from the Terran player, because what they can do is siege those tanks on the low ground and hit the Zerg natural, and it's very annoying for a Zerg player. There's very little they can actually do about it. So I'd imagine, you know, the Zerg player, you've got to always tip a Zerg player to go for macro, but maybe if he actually feels that's a really serious threat, we might see sort of some early roach aggression against the Hellion expand. But you know, it could be anything, so we'll have to wait and see.
And we do in fact see mOOnGLaDe throwing down a hatch first on Tal'Darim. That does not surprise me, and it's not a bad decision either, I think, with such a big map. We do see a command center going down for Iaguz, completing that wall off to deny the scout, but he will see everything he needs to see anyway.
Okay, so Iaguz is playing that very greedy version of Terran where you go for that really quick command center. Basically, the Zerg player, you know, he could either consider taking a third slightly earlier than he normally would, put on some ling pressure, or a good idea can be to go for mutas, because it actually sets the Terran back quite considerably taking the early command center.
Yeah, it does, and we do see a little bit of banter between the two players there. Just a little bit of a laugh. All in good spirits, of course. And
yeah, I hope it's the laugh. Don't die.
We do see the spawning pool finishing for Glade, and he's taking that gas, so it could be some sort of roach aggression, but I'm leaning more towards Lingbane Muta style of play on this map.
Yeah, I think mutas will be really good because of the close spawns, and also they'll just help a lot dealing with that early tank push I mentioned before. We're not sure the Terran's doing that yet, but you know, he's probably going to go into tank marine, and he probably will look at doing a push against that cliff.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see Glade's timing on his third. This map, for me as a Zerg player, is particularly frustrating because of those rocks at the third. If you're playing against a Protoss, for instance, who forge fast expands, it is really frustrating trying to take your third quick enough to keep that macro advantage if you can't destroy those rocks. So it's going to be interesting to see what Glade does here.
Well, one option is to take that third to the left of the main. Because of the spawns, he can't really hope to do that. Because you can do that sometimes depending on the spawn. Of course, he could take the one at the top past his rocks, but that's also very risky because it's so far removed from the rest of your expansions. So yeah, I understand what you mean about taking that third being quite difficult. He's going to have to look at killing those rocks very early.
We do see a reactor on that barrack, so we are going to see some reactor Hellions here. Not uncommon. Glade should have faced this 1,000 times and should be fine to deal with it. We do see a roach warren on the way as well as a spine, so there could be some roach pressure, but I'm expecting these to be more defensive roaches against those Hellions.
Yeah, well, I'd like to see some roach pressure because I think it could work very well against someone who's taken a command center first and got the reacted Hellions, which aren't going to do much against the roaches. So I am hoping for some, but yeah, they could just be defensive. It depends what he's thinking, because he's got that spine as well, and sometimes when you go for those defensive roaches, you don't really want to bother with the spine. Why invest in the spine and the roaches? So we'll have to see what he's got planned.
That is true. Very true. And we do see a nice creep spread joining those two bases together. But we do see a tech lab built on that barrack, so we are going to see some sort of Banshee follow-up. Be interesting to see whether he gets cloak or not.
The Banshees, he may need them because there is going to be roachling aggression coming. I think he's building a fair few roaches. So we'll have to see, but it looks like he is going to put on that early pressure.
And these Hellions are going to run into this army, so xGKingiaguz is going to know it's coming. We do see an Evo chamber on the way, so gLaDe definitely suspects Banshees as well. And we do see that cloak being researched, which I think is important to actually make these Banshees viable here.
See, if I'm xGKingiaguz in this situation, yeah, that's what he should do, is lift that command center and re-roll with it, because there's no way he's holding that natural. But you know, if he holds at his main with that bunker, he's not too far behind because of the commitment to building those roaches. We can see there's quite a low drone count. He's losing more drones to the Hellions right now.
Yes, we do see the Hellions killing a lot of drones there, but also xGKingiaguz has to worry about this front. The roaches look like they are going to bust through here. SCV's trying to repair that bunker as 2 Hellions pop out, so I think xGKingiaguz is going to be right, especially with that Banshee. These Hellions are running into mOOnGLaDe's main at the moment, though picking up a lot of drone kills and still harassing. gLaDe's also missed an inject at his hatchery at the moment, which is bit of an issue for later on, but xGKingiaguz is going to be able to hold off that push at his main. If we look at the units lost tab, relatively even. xGKingiaguz picked up 10 worker kills to gLaDe's 7, so it's pretty similar for both players.
Yeah, I mean, the Zerg would have come up way up if he'd managed to hold off those Hellions better. You know, he could have possibly left one Roach at his main to help that spine, but if he held off that Hellion aggression, he would have come up way in front because of those SCV kills. So it's a shame for the Zerg player that happened, because now the Terran can safely expand, particularly with the Zerg re-droning.
And xGKingiaguz is going to pick up a couple more drone kills until that Spore finishes, which it now has, but he's going to get a couple more. The Queens are there, but nice micro here from xGKingiaguz. More Spores going now for gLaDe. He's also got a Spore and another one being built in his main, so he should be able to hold this off quite comfortably, but he is going to lose a couple more drones here.
Yeah, and he is trying a bit of Zergling aggression right now, which could do some damage, because the Terran's Hellions were way out of position. So he's going to run straight into that middle line.
And the SCVs have been pulled, retreating to the natural. Hellions are going to come in and clean those Lings up, but it'll be interesting to see whether gLaDe picked up many kills here. Nice micro there from xGKingiaguz. And those Lings are going to get taken out by the Hellions. If we look at the workers...
It's alright for the Terran player, really. Didn't lose too much there.
Yes, if we look at the workers killed tab, xGKingiaguz is way ahead now. He's got 16 worker kills to gLaDe's 8.
Yeah, and if we just look at the saturation, you know, the Terran natural is so much more saturated than the Zerg natural, and he hasn't even looked at taking his third yet. Hasn't killed that debris.
So this isn't a great spot for gLaDe at the moment, I don't think. He really needs to look to try and take that third. He's got pretty well mineral saturation now on both bases, but he doesn't have 3. He's only got 1 gas. He's throwing down his other 3 now. And xGKingiaguz is looking quite comfortable at the moment. These Hellions are going to poke back in and see what they can do, but there are roaches here now.
Yeah, I think the Zerg's plan at this point is to go for that muted. I think the 3 gas and the lair tech, he's probably looking at getting some out. And that's a good idea, because, you know, the Terran players invested quite a bit into Banshees and quite a bit into Hellions. But the Terran players should be prepared for these muted. They're not going to come out for a little bit yet.
No, we do see a sort of a 2-pronged harass here from xGKingiaguz. He ran the Hellions into the main and picked up some kills, but left the 2 Banshees at the natural also getting drone kills. Nicely done, but that Banshee is going to get taken out by the 2 Queens, and he has just extended his workers killed lead to 20, just under 20, 17. He's got 31 worker kills now.
Yeah, this is not looking good for our Zerg player. The lair has just finished, and yet he's going straight for the Spire. So it is going to be 2 base muted. That is his attempt to get back into this game. As for the Terran side, you know, he's put up that 3rd command center, and he's getting those tanks out, so he still hasn't got a huge amount of Marines, and he hasn't got any missile towers either. We just see the engineering base going up now.
So he's definitely going to be looking to throw up that those missile towers. We do see a reactor going down on the starport as well. So we're looking at probably some sort of marine tank medivac build, which is again very standard for Terrans nowadays. We do see combat shield and stim on the way, as well as siege tech and +1 weapons and armor. So xGKingiaguz is upgrading quite quickly at the moment. gLaDe just trying to recover the drone losses he's had. But he is throwing up a 3rd up at that top expansion we talked about, which is a fair way away from his base, but I do think it is safer than the one just to the left of his base, because that is very exposed to pressure from xGKingiaguz.
Yeah, and if that marine tank push does come up against that cliff and start hitting the natural, you know, the Terran's not actually going to be able to send marines over there to kill that expansion, because the Zerg can navigate his way there and avoid the tanks and save it. But the tank marine push is going to be so strong at this point after the Zerg has taken so much damage, and more importantly, he's only got roaches. He's only just started to get that Lingbane Mutotech that he needs.
Indeed, and we also see it's about to be a 1-1 to 0-0 upgrade advantage to xGKingiaguz as well. We see a macro hatch going down. Glade does have some nice creep spread happening now. He's almost linked to that third base to his other two. But I think xGKingiaguz is going to be able to hold off this Muta harass quite nicely. He's got 2 missile turrets up at his third already, as well as a bunch of marines in position to deal with them. So he obviously knows they're coming, and in they come now. But I think they're going to have to turn around straight away.
Yeah, it looks like it. There's too many marines there. He's going to harass a bit, but yeah, he has to run. So
xGKingiaguz is looking quite comfortable at the moment. He's on 3 bases. Glade hasn't even started to saturate his third. It's not a position a Zerg player ever wants to be in. He's going to try and poke in with these mutas, and he really needs to hope they do some damage because he is quite far behind at the moment.
The Zerg has caught slightly up in harvesters. He's down 70 to 60, which is obviously a position you don't want to be in as Zerg. But in doing so, obviously, he's just not going to have many men. And so we'll be looking for the Terran to do some sort of push very soon. We can see he's not getting 2-2 yet. So he's probably waiting for that +1 vehicle weapons, and then he's going to do a very powerful push.
Yeah, that would not surprise me at all. We do see Glade getting some more mutas out. We saw xGKingiaguz scouting with his Cleric Banshee, trying to find that third. He's now found it. We're surprised that there wasn't one at these rocks. And we do see some more drone kills here.
And he's even forced to make spores, which obviously in effect kills the drones. So he's losing so many workers, and he's still behind in harvesters to a Terran, and the Terran has mules. So this is very bad for our Zerg player.
We do see the mutas trying to harass again, but those marines from the bunker are going to push them away. We do see another missile turret going out for xGKingiaguz at that third base. But he is looking quite comfortable at the moment.
He is opting not to push just yet. It looks like he might be doing a push right now, but he has started that 2-2. So I'll have to see whether he chooses to push. Yeah, it looks like he is.
He is going to push out across the map here. The mutas, are they going to spot this? They will spot this coming, but I don't know if it's going to help Glade enough. I don't know if he's got enough units. He's morphing in a lot of Banes on his ramp. Those mutas are going to try and pick off whatever they can, but they have to be careful not to overextend, because if they fly over those marines, they will all die.
Yeah, and as long as those tanks are sieged, that will not be enough Banes. But especially because there's almost no link support. So it literally, once the Banes are wiped out by the tanks, there'll be nothing the Zerg has left.
We do see 40 Lings on the way for Glade, but he has sieged that tank on the low ground like he said, and he is now dropping marines onto the high ground. It's going to be interesting to see where Glade engages here. He has currently been supply blocked, and we do see a tank snipe a bunch of Banelings there as well. The mutas are going to come in and try and push these marines away. But I don't know if he can engage that. He does snipe the tank though, which is very important.
Yeah, and the Terran's sending some marines to the third as well, which the Zerg is going to have to deal with. So that's rather annoying, but he should be able to deal with that quite easily. However, the Terran's using it to increase his position and move his tanks forward while the army is sent to the right.
And we do see these mutas engaging a bunch of marines there on the ramp, but I just think xGKingiaguz has too much here. I mean, he sniped the Queen at the third as well, which is not great. We do see the Banes coming in now. Can xGKingiaguz get his marines behind the tanks? He can, and they are going to be very ineffectual Banes there, and the marines are just going to be able to clean up everything else. I think Glade is in a bit of a pickle here, and we could see a GG very soon.
Yeah, most definitely. He's going to have to re-macro fast to save this one. We can see 8 Banes morphing, but that's not going to be anywhere near enough.
We also see a Thor on the way for xGKingiaguz. It is finished now actually, and there's one already out in the field. We see second leaving his base, so that is going to help with the mutas as well. And I really think xGKingiaguz is just going to be able to push in right now and kill Glade. We do see 3-3 on the way as well, so he has a massive upgrade advantage, a supply advantage. It's just been a very well played game from xGKingiaguz, very well thought out. And he's going to snipe a whole load of mutas here. That is not what Glade wants. The Banes are going to come in. The tank isn't sieged, but those Banes are just going to be sniped by the rest of the tanks. The Marines will stim away, and I think we can see a GG right here. I think Glade is done.
Yeah. It's almost definitely GG. He just loses the last of the mutas there, and so you know when a Zerg just sacks his mutas that he's given up. He's thrown in the towel.
And there is the GG. A very well played game from xGKingiaguz. That constant harass is just frustrating to deal with as a Zerg player, especially when it's multi-pronged with 2 different types of units, and it's just a pain to deal with.
Yeah, well, this is a map where a Zerg player, you know, he can macro really well, but at the same time, he has to worry about a lot of aggression, and also drop play is very annoying on this map. So it's a map that has its pros and cons for Zerg. So you can sort of understand why he went for that roaching aggression. It just didn't pan out.
No, it didn't. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. My name is Mox.
And I'm Fusion Heli.
Thanks for watching, and we hope you have a good day.